So I just touch based something called return in the previous slide. So if you are expecting certain value from functions, then you have to use return, and that is the definition of return. If some value is expected out of a function, return has to be used. And return is a keyword, by the way. I'm using the same function definition here. And what am I doing here? I'm printing the total price. But let's say instead of printing the total price, I want to get this total price in a variable. How do you do that? What you do is we mention like outside of the function final price equal to the function call. So this is how we call a function. So use the function call and the total price would be assigned to the final price, but not yet. Why? Because we have print here. The function is not sending any value. So instead of print, we'll have to use return. The moment I use return, then the total price value would be assigned to the final price, which is outside of the function. So this is how return is used, and you can use anything. You can return a print statement, you can return a variable, you can return just a comment, or you can choose to return nothing, which we have done in the previous video. So let's go ahead and take a look at how return can be used. Now what will I do is, again, I'll uncomment this particular function. Okay, so the order price is so and so. Now here I'm printing, so this is the final price, and if I execute this, it will only do the print. So the final price of your order is so and so. Now this statement is outside of the function, right? Because this is not in the indentation scope. So it is not in functions indentation. So that's why it is being called outside of the function. Now let's say I want this final price to be used somewhere else. So I use this function definition to calculate the final price and return me the final price, and I want to use that final price somewhere else. So what I do in outside of the function, I define the price, and here I call the calculate final price. Now the output of the calculate final price would be stored in price. Now if I print price, I should be able to see this. I should be able to see the final price. But here I'm using the print statement. So let's see what happens. So it is actually returning the entire print statement. So it is printing here, and again it is getting called, and in print I do not have any value. So the reason is that I'm just printing the final price of your order. Can I just print the final price and then get that value here? So let's try that out. Now here again, for the first call, it is printing the value. In the second call, because the function is getting called, it is again printing the value. But price variable, where I want the value to be present, is none or null data type. So it does not have any value because print cannot be used. So this is where we'll have to use return. So now if I use return followed by the final price, now what function would do? Function would return this variable which is of type decimal or float. I can print both the price and the type of price just to see what is being returned. Now what am I doing? I'm calling the final price here. So let me just comment all these, and if I call, nothing would happen because it is returning a value. So the function would get executed, the value would be returned, but I'm not capturing the value anywhere else. So that's why nothing would happen. So if I execute, that's it. It gets executed, but actually nothing has happened. Now instead of that, if I capture the value in price, so as it is returning the final price, I use this variable to capture the final price here. And now, as you can see, I have printed the price. The value of price is being shown here with type float, the data type float, because it is returning one value, right? So it is returning this particular value, and I'm capturing that particular value in price. Now, can I return multiple value? Let's do that. Let's try that out. So instead of along with final price, let's try to return the order price also. Now what would happen if I execute? So I'm still capturing the value of these two in the price variable as a tuple. So if you return multiple values and you use only a single variable to get the multiple values or capture the multiple values which are being returned by function, those will be put in a tuple and price would become a tuple. But if I use, let's say, price and then discount, two different variables, let's see what happens now. So I'll type both price and discount, and I'll print the data type of price and discount also. Now if I execute this, as you can see, price is separate and discount is separate, so it should be order price, not discount. Anyway, that's fine. And the data type for both of them is float. So now what am I doing? The two returned values, final price and order price, are getting captured in price, and it should be order price actually, order amount maybe. So I'm capturing both the values in price and order amount in two different variables. So if you do not use two different variables, it will be put in a tuple. Now the crux of this discussion is that I can return multiple values from a function also. If I want, I can return one more value, which is, let's say, string. So let's say just I'm typing some random strings, values returned. Now if I execute this, it will get error because I have put two variables here, but the function is returning three values. So if I remove the other variable, order price, and I get it in a single variable, what would happen? Of course, you can pause the video and try it out. Now if I execute this, oops, there should be one more bracket. So if I execute this, it has been returned in a tuple, right? So, and if I want it in individual variable, so what I have to do is I have to put one more variable, which is description maybe, and then I can type description here. Now it should execute. This is the discounted price, this is the order amount, and this is the description. And a function can return multiple values also. And if a function returns multiple values, you will have to assign those multiple values in a single variable. If you assign it in a single variable, then that variable would be of type tuple. If you want to assign multiple values to multiple variables, then each variable would get its own value with its own data type. So that's how we can use functions and the return keyword of function.